All right, welcome back, folks. This is the Jake Ellenbogen Show. It is episode 14. Oh boy, man. We got plenty of stuff to talk about. We got Ben Johnson staying in Detroit. We got the Steelers hiring Arthur Smith. Mike McDonald getting hired by the Seahawks. My favorite, anytime, you're just messing around on Twitter or whatever, and there's always just some, for lack of a better term, there's some asshole that wants to always say that you're a bandwagon. If you like a good team at the time, you're a bandwagon. So we'll get into that, my thoughts on that. I also want to touch on the toll industry because I worked in that at one point. So I just kind of feel like I want to talk about that. I don't know. We'll be talking about quite a few things. Darvin Ham, the whole LeBron saga. So buckle up. Let's dive in. All right. So starting off, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, is going to stay in Detroit another year. As a fan and someone that covers the Rams, I gotta say, y'all are lucky as all hell because the Rams have lost like 5 coaches already, and Ben Johnson, who's one of the best head coaching candidates, is going to end up staying. Lions are lucky, man. They bought him another year. I'll see we'll see what ends up happening when he leaves, but man, lucky. I will say this, Lions fans, you better put up a statue of Ben Johnson at this point. I mean, the fact that he's staying, very, very rare to see guys turn down promotions. Another thing, this was the theme of this week. We saw Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator for the Texans, turn down a promotion, going to potentially be a head coach. He decided to sign a long-term deal to stay with the Texans. We even saw Gerard Johnson, the quarterback's coach in Houston, doing the same thing. Is this a new thing? Clearly not with the Rams, but it does appear to be a little bit of a new thing. The Steelers are hiring Arthur Smith as their OC. I don't know. I have some mixed reactions about that. I'll say this, though. Washington, the tight end, he's probably going to eat this year in fantasy football. So remember that, because I'll just say it. I mean, I watched Arthur Smith and I watched him coach the Falcons, and they have a 4th overall. I think it was a 4th overall pick that they used to draft a tight end in Kyle Pitts, and he was more focused on using Jonnu Smith, who is the backup tight end. So does Pat Freiermuth's stock fall off, and completely crater? I don't know. Arthur Smith is allergic to starting tight ends, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, the fascinating thing about this hire, he doesn't really fit Kenny Pickett at all. So I don't know what they're going to do there. Interesting stuff for sure. I mean, we'll find out sooner or later. And Mike McDonald, the Ravens defensive coordinator, number 1 defense in the league, and he's headed to Seattle to replace Pete Carroll. And I think that is a pretty darn good move. I don't love it because I think, made Seattle better. As a football fan, though, I like competitive. So that's competitive right there. We'll see who he brings over, but that could be a really good coaching staff over in Seattle. I think McDonald is the real deal. I think he's currently now the youngest coach in the NFL, so that's something to keep in mind. Very interesting. The NFL coaching circuit right now is still in flux. We're still waiting on who's Washington going to hire. I still have no idea. It sounds like Dan Quinn is a possibility. I think Seattle's smart. I know Dan Quinn was there. I know they had a chance to grab him and give him a shot because he was the defensive coordinator, before. But they chose the better option. I mean, I think McDonald was the best option available, one of the best options available throughout the entire thing. But right now, he was probably the best available. So yeah, NFC West is going to be exciting. If you're a football fan, if you're an NFC West, you're a fan of the Rams, the 49ers, the Cardinals, could get a little intriguing there. One thing I do want to point out, though, and I find this funny, is that all these media outlets are sharing, well, he was 4-0 against the NFC West. That's true. But, I saw Ari Myrov on Twitter point out how Baltimore's defense forced 9 turnovers in those games. Well, hold on a second. We're not clumping the Rams in here. They gave up over 400 yards to the Rams, 3 touchdowns. They did not force any turnovers, and they forced 5 interceptions in the 49er game, 2 against the Cardinals, and they forced 1 against the Seahawks. Also, the Rams game was a 6-point game. They beat the 49ers by 14. They beat the Cardinals by 7, and they beat the Seahawks by 34. So the good news is, if you're a Rams fan listening to this, it looks like Sean McVay already knows how to attack that defense. But the bad news is, for if you are a 49er fan, or I'd just say 49er fan because I think the Cardinals had a shot to win that game. 49ers didn't look great against that defense. So we'll see what ends up happening. Obviously, we'll see who he brings over. There's some very talented players like a Patrick Queen, like a Justin Madubuike that are hitting free agency. Is he going to bring those guys over? I don't know. Okay, so that is a little bit of the football stuff. We haven't quite gotten a ton. We've gotten quite a bit, but we'll wait. Obviously, Washington still has to hire a coach. So let's talk about it. Darvin Ham. I'm a Laker fan. Darvin Ham, I said it when they got him. I thought, okay, he's this young up-and-coming coach coming from the Bucks. He's going to have this winning mentality. He's going to be ready to go. He knows what it's like to win. He's been around Giannis, so he knows what it's like to be around stars. His first year as a head coach, to be fair, they end up going to the finals or whatever, or not the finals, the Eastern Conference final, the Western Conference finals. So I don't want to hate too much on that. But this year, man, has just been so not fun. And what I don't understand, and I'll never understand, I know the reason they scapegoated him, but I'll never understand how you find a coach that can coexist and work with stars and get the most out of them and have them play in defense perimeter-wise, and you get rid of them. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about Frank Vogel, who won a title. I just don't understand how a roster that has LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura. I don't understand how a team like that has Christian Wood coming off the bench, Jared Vanderbilt. I don't know how this team is below 500. I don't get it. And it's gotten to the point where I don't think anybody is on Darvin Ham's side. My friend Raquel on Twitter, at SoulBeautifulMe, she posts about it a lot. She's a great Laker follow. And it's just one of those things where, we've been talking about it. I think a lot of Lakers fans are just totally frustrated with it. And she put out a post kind of breaking it all down, starting to see the writing on the wall. LeBron's time is up tweet. If you guys didn't see that, they had the hourglass with LeBron tweeting that out the other day. Several players said it's on the coach. Rui says you got to know what you're doing on the floor. Rich Paul liked Christian Wood's LOL tweet. LOL was regarding, of course, Darvin Ham. LeBron had a legitimate side eye. Like, the picture is uncanny. It's such a side eye he is giving. He looks so pissed off at Darvin Ham. Phil Handy, his Instagram post, the job of a coach is to teach. And Anthony Davis walked out of the huddle. Anthony Davis also said it's on the coach. These are players who have been through a lot. These are veteran players that are acting out. At some point or another, you have to read the fucking room. Okay? Darvin Ham has all the talent in the world to coach, and he's not doing it. It's not like these guys aren't, succeeding. It's not like these guys aren't playing well. LeBron's having a good year. Anthony Davis is having a great year. D'Angelo Russell's really turned it on. That's not it. It's his management. He doesn't call timeouts when teams go on huge runs. He doesn't have the right lineups in there. Late in games. His plays called late in games are terrible. Darvin Ham needs to be done in LA this instant. He is plaguing a very talented team. I mean, the first thing we all thought was, wow, this team, the Lakers, what they did in the offseason, they got shooters, they got defenders. There's no way. And now we're seeing it and we're like, okay, maybe I guess there is a way. Last night they lost 138 to 122 to the Atlanta Hawks. It's just, it's bad, man. They got to figure it the hell out because it is not good right now. It's just not. So we'll see what happens there with Darvin Ham. To be honest with you, I'm sick of it. I know a lot of other people are sick of it. It's just gotten to be pretty bad. And look, this team, am I saying they're going to win it all? No, but they better be competing. And, people are going to use the whole, I don't know how you fire a coach. They won the in-season tournament. I don't give a flying fuck. I don't. The bottom line is this. Darvin Ham, simply put, is not up for the challenge of being an NBA head coach. Period. He's an aspiring Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is one of the most overrated coaches in the sport. He won a title. Big deal. So did Frank Vogel, and no one seemed to care about it. Darvin Ham is literally just a motivational speaker. The things he says in the presser, on top of what he's saying during the game, on top of what he's doing during the game, it's amateur hour. And Lakers fans have had it. Now, I don't know the guy personally. Seems like a genuine guy. I'm not trying to hate on him, the person. But the coach? No. He's got to go. It's that simple. 100% that simple. He gets fired, and this is when I think the Lakers will be able to move forward. Make Phil Handy your interim head coach. There's probably other guys that you could find that are better. This is not acceptable. It needs to be addressed. And I'll say this. There are a lot of Lakers fans that want to trade away D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura and trade away Austin Reeves. And it's like, in what way will that help them? Why would you trade away D'Angelo Russell the way he's playing right now? That doesn't even make sense. Well, we could get Dejounte Murray. I'm a big Dejounte Murray fan. However you say his name. Is it Dejounte? I don't know, but I think it's Dejounte. I'm a big Dejounte Murray fan. I am. However, Murray doesn't make sense for this team. This team doesn't need more rebounding. This team doesn't need another guard. This team needs shooting. Another one that makes no sense is, let's trade away D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura and picks until 2033 so we can go get Zach LaVine. Why? Zach LaVine? Really? Really? I mean, the problem is a lot of fans just want stars. Stars, 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 right? Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Zach LaVine ain't playing well this year, folks. Like, I've seen him play better. This is not a great year to trade for Zach LaVine. I'm sorry. It's just, he's a career 20.5 point per game guy, 4.1 rebounds, 3.9 assists. This year, he's rebounding better. He's scoring less. He's assisting at the same rate. He's shooting 45.2% from the field. Nothing about him makes me feel great. I just don't understand what the big deal is with Zach LaVine. I don't get it. I know he went to UCLA. I know that has some merit there. I still think it's a little ridiculous. I don't know. What do I know, though? Anyway, back to it, though. The Lakers are getting annoying. They really are. Hope they figure it out. They got to do what they got to do because it's not acceptable. I mean, Darvin Ham's not the guy, and trading for Zach LaVine isn't going to help you win a title. They have the pieces. It is the coach. Figure it out. Okay, moving on. So I tweeted the other day, someone had one of those tweets where it's like, oh, share this and repost, whatever. So I tweeted the other day, someone had like, how many rings their team has had since they became a fan. And I tweeted out how many rings my teams have had since I've become a fan of those teams. And of course, to the shock of not me, I was labeled a bandwagon. Mind you, I liked the Rams. I've followed the Rams through thick and thin. I was born in 95. I claimed the Super Bowl in, 1999 to 2000. I claim that. I do somewhat remember it, believe it or not. I claim that. But here's the thing. You know what the majority of my childhood was watching the Rams, It was loss after loss after loss. Playoffs? No. No playoffs. That's the thing I find so funny. Since the Rams got Sean McVay in 2017, people always want to say you're a bandwagon. It's like people forget how fucking miserable it was to be a Rams fan. I got bullied at school. You get a player jersey, he's getting traded or cut or whatever. I mean, you get a Sam Bradford jersey, he's not going to be the future. It was fun because it's all I knew, but at the same time, it was brutal. It was not easy being a Rams fan. It's not easy to go out every single year and the goal, everyone else is talking about Super Bowl and you're hoping they win more than 9 games. So that's the thing I find funny. But yeah, now I'm being called a bandwagon fan because of that. And that's funny. I'm also being called a bandwagon fan for liking the Lakers, liking the Yankees, liking the Vegas Golden Knights, liking the Jayhawks. I like good teams. That doesn't make me a bandwagon fan. I was rooting for the Jayhawks. I'll always root for the Jayhawks. I'll always watch the Jayhawks. I was watching Jayhawks football since the freaking Orange Bowl. Like, the Jayhawks had one loss during the Orange Bowl season. One loss. And I was watching Jayhawk football through Charlie Weiss, Turner Gill, Les Miles, David Beatty, and now Lance Leipold is there. They just had 9 wins in a season. I watched them when they didn't have a win in the season. I watched them when they had 1 win. I watched them celebrate when they beat Texas and it was the only win of the season. I mean, the fans literally stormed the field and took down the goalpost. That's what it's been like. The Yankees haven't, they've won a lot of championships, obviously 27 out of 40. They've won 5 or 6 in my lifetime, but how many of those do you really think I actually remember? Because I'll tell you right now, all I remember, for whatever reason, I remember Luis Gonzalez's broken bat single to beat Mariano Rivera and to give the Diamondbacks the game winner in the World Series. And I remember 2009 beating the Phillies. That's what I remember. Aside from that, it's been every single year, hey, we're going to lose to the Astros. Oh, we'll lose to the Red Sox here to make it interesting. I remember losing to the Indians, and they're now called the Guardians, but the Cleveland Indians at one point. The Angels on my birthday. The Texas Rangers. I mean, like, that's the thing I find funny. Because the whole bandwagon fan, first off, I have no issue with bandwagon fans. Do what you want. You enjoy it however you want. You're not going to get the heartstrings that I'm going to get. You won't be able to enjoy the win as much as I will because I've stuck by the team. And that's fine. Like, who cares who's a bandwagon? Then the Golden Knights, and that cracks me up. Guys, I didn't have an upbringing. Unlike other sports, my dad raised me to like the Lakers. He's from Irvine, California. He grew up there. Moved to New York, obviously, as I've explained multiple times. But, raised me to be a Laker fan, raised me to be a Rams fan, raised me to be a Yankee fan. That was our lone New York team. Sue me. And then raised me to be a Jayhawks fan because half of my family is connected to Lawrence in some way. Whether they went there, they worked there, they lived there. I have a lot of reason to like the Jayhawks. I also liked USC. Now, my dad didn't raise me to like USC. I just started liking them when Reggie Bush was there. Does that make me a bandwagon fan if I still like them? I don't know. Also, I love you can't like two college teams. I didn't go to either college. I can like whoever the hell I want. But anyway, my point, the Golden Knights. I didn't have an upbringing in hockey. My dad and I used to play NHL 99, NHL 2000, NHL 2001. Okay? We used to play. I picked the Red Wings because my favorite color was fucking red when I was 4 years old. So I picked the Red Wings, and I liked the Red Wings. My dad would always use the Avalanche. He was not a fan of the Avalanche. The only team he really liked was the Kings, and then he fell out of hockey. But he did not raise me to be a Kings fan. He's not anything fan. He's not a fan of any team. He was happy when the Vegas Knights won. He was actually in Vegas with my mom during that time. And he was happy for me. But he's not a Vegas Knights fan. So the funny thing is when you get called a bandwagon fan for being a fan of the Golden Knights. I mean, I'll tell you this right now. I became a Red Wings fan when I was 4 years old. Yeah, believe it or not, any Detroit hate listeners, I actually liked a Detroit team growing up. The Red Wings were really good. I didn't stop liking them because they weren't good anymore. I stopped liking them when Ken Holland, the general manager, traded away my favorite player, Pavel Datsyuk, to the Florida Panthers. He traded away a bunch of guys. He got rid of Gustav Nyquist. He got rid of Justin Abdelkader. He got rid of Peter Mrazek. I mean, there were like these players that I grew up watching, and he just got rid of this whole team, and then he left. And so at that point, I was like, all right, this is, I'm not really into hockey anymore. Like, it's kind of ruining it for me. It's not that I'm a bandwagon fan, so to speak. I'm not really interested, so I'd like to be interested again. And then news comes out that Vegas is getting a team called the Golden Knights, and I look at their uniforms, I look at their logo, and I'm like, oh shit, that looks fucking cool. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna become a Vegas Golden Knights fan. I had no affiliation to Detroit. I've only been there for 3 hours stuck in an airport on a layover, and I was there for 3 hours, and I found out Kobe Bryant died. So Detroit just gives me bad vibes anyway. But my point is that I didn't have any sort of connection. A big thing about my sports is that it's connected to my family most of the time. When it's not, I don't feel like I have to stay loyal to that team. I don't know why. I just, I didn't have an upbringing in that. So since I wasn't a Kings fan and my dad wasn't a Red Wings fan, I just kind of moved on from the Red Wings. And I got to be honest with you, I have no soft spot for them. This is what happens when you become a fan of a team at age 4 because of their color, and you grow up and you realize you don't really care that much about the team. Like, I have no soft spot for them. I have one Red Wings jersey. It's the Pavel Datsyuk jersey. I like Steve Yzerman, but like, I'm done. Like, I don't have any interest. Dylan Larkin, I liked him going in the draft. I think that was the last thing I said when I changed teams. I was like, I really like Dylan Larkin out of Michigan. I think he's going to be a stud. I love the pick, but I didn't have that interest anymore in them. So then the Golden Knights become a thing, and I'm like, oh shit, I'll hop on a bandwagon that doesn't exist. How many times in my lifetime are you going to be able to do that? Brand new team like that? Psh. So I took the opportunity, and I watched, the draft, the expansion draft, and I followed it. I made my own mock draft and everything, and ended up being better than I thought. And, they got some players I had no idea who they were. I ended up becoming, huge fans of. I mean, Jonathan Marchessault and, Nicholas Waugh, and just some of the guys that they got just were awesome. And they've went out and they got Jack Eichel. But this is where like the story gets a little bit more twisted, is that, because people ask like, hey, Jake, why do you wear like Devils memorabilia, but you have a Vegas Golden Knights banner in your backdrop, or vice versa? And what I will say is this: the Golden Knights were my team. I chose them when they became a team, but I was not yet into hockey on the level I am now. And the reason I got into hockey on the level I am now is because my friend Kyle took me to see the Devils and Golden Knights. My first ever hockey game was against now my two favorite teams. And I watched Jonathan Marchessault have a hat trick, and they won. And in that moment, I was like, I love hockey. This is awesome. Live, you got to see hockey live if you've never seen it. It's maybe the best live sport. So what do I take away from that? Was I a Devils fan right after that? No. It took a little bit. Keep in mind, I can't go to Vegas whenever I want. So I started going to Devils games. They were cheaper. They weren't a good team. I watched this team, grow up, this team build, this team go through pains and all that. I watched them, trade away players at the deadline and, kind of rebuild and all that. And I just grew to really like them. Going with Kyle and, watching this team and really getting to know the team, and having players like, watching Jack Hughes kind of grow up as a Devil. And, they went out and got Dougie Hamilton and just, all sorts of guys. I mean, I think my first game, PK Subban was on the team. Kyle Palmieri. I mean, I ended up really liking the Devils. Now I would say that the Devils and the Golden Knights are kind of tied for me. I really don't have a favorite. I like them both equally. And I know that's weird, but this is what happens when you're not raised into hockey. This is what happens when you're really not raised into any sort of hockey team. I was raised into liking the Jayhawks. So while I like USC, I don't love USC. I love the Jayhawks. I love Kansas football, Kansas basketball. I have a legitimate love for. Same thing with the Yankees. I've had, obviously, everyone when they're a little kid, okay, you like this team, and this team. I mean, that's normal, right? So when I was a little kid, I kind of went through a phase where I rooted for Willie Randolph because he was the manager at the time for the Mets. Now I don't like the Mets at all, but I rooted for him. I liked the Atlanta Braves because I visited Atlanta one time, a few times actually, to see my my aunt and my uncle, and that was what got me into the Braves. Now, am I still a Braves fan? No, but when you're a little kid or you're younger and you have all the time in the world and you don't have like a busy schedule, you don't have to put all your fucking things in a to-do list for you to memorize and everything, and you to make sure you're not double booking. There's no double booking when you're a kid. When you're a kid, you just do shit. Like, you just like, all right, I guess the whole day I'm going to play, PS2. Like, I mean, that's just like what we fucking did. Or, I'll go out and, hit in the batting cage, or, go and play in my baseball league, or, go on vacation, or go out and use the scooter and have a Razor scooter go right into, my fucking ankle. That still hurts to this day, just thinking about it. Anyone that's never swung a Razor scooter into their ankle is either too old or too young to understand what I'm saying. But if you have, then you already have felt pain unlike anything imaginable. It's like stepping on a Lego times a billion. The point I'm making here, though, is that when it comes down to it, being a kid, you can like multiple teams. It's why, working at a sports store, because I worked at, a place called Olympia Sports. I think they might have one location around, but for the most part, they're not doing very well if they are even around. But I worked at this place called Olympia Sports, and I had all these kids come in, and it used to annoy me until I realized why it was happening. All these kids would come in, and their dads, moms, whatever, they're wearing, gear for different teams. And the kid would come in and he's wearing, a Steph Curry jersey, and his dad is a Laker fan, or the mom would come in and she's decked out in Giants gear, and the kid has a Tom Brady jersey on. Like, that's the thing, that being a kid, you're innocent. You don't understand like why that's bad, right? And it's, I don't want to say it's bad, but it's just not like being a fan. And also, a lot of parents don't force their teams on their kids. I think they should, to be honest with you. Not force, but kind of like lightly, encourage, because I think a lot of my best moments and memories come with sports connected to family. So that's something cool. But, really, it's just, it goes to show you, when you're young, you don't have any responsibilities. So yeah, I mean, when I was young, I liked the freaking Jaguars because my aunt lived in Jacksonville, and I was a big David Garrard fan, and I liked Maurice Jones-Drew. I also liked the Texans for some weird fucking reason. I thought their uniforms were cool. They were new. I loved Andre Johnson. And I like the Eagles. I will never understand why I like the Eagles so much. I mean, they had cool uniforms and everything. I had a Brian Westbrook jersey. I absolutely loved Brian Westbrook. I like Jeremy Maclin. I had a Don McNabb cardboard cutout in my room. Again, like, stupid shit. No idea why, but at the same time, while I liked all those teams, there was only one team I watched consistently. There was only one team that I absolutely could not miss a game, and that was at the time, St. Louis Rams. So, I think really just the whole thing is that it kind of goes to show you. When I was a kid, I was able to have all these teams that I liked, right? When I was a kid, I was able to like a team based on, one fucking color, being that my favorite color was red. When I grew up, I realized how ridiculous that was, and I didn't have that affiliation anymore. I didn't have that passion for them. But the reason why I like those two teams is because the Golden Knights were the team that got me back into hockey, and made me feel a part of something. You're jumping on the bandwagon of something that doesn't currently exist. It's like getting in on, like, I don't know, Bitcoin, like before everyone else. Like, you're a fan of it, and then you're like, trust me, they're going to be good. And everyone's like, what the hell are you talking about? And then all of a sudden, the Vegas Knights, their first year playing in the Stanley Cup. It took them a while, but they finally did win. But then the Devils, I, look at is like, a lot of fun, great memories with my buddy Kyle. And just knowing, like, look, the Devils, watching them got me into hockey on a new level. See, Vegas got me back into hockey, and the Devils, like, expanded my reach on hockey. It made me interested in the rest of the league. So, yes, I like them both. But every other team, for the most part, you're not going to really see an equal footing. In the NFL, I have a soft spot for the Jets because I covered them. I'm not a Jets fan, okay? I'm not a fan of any team other than the Rams in the NFL. The NBA, I'm only a Laker fan. I could not care. Like, I really couldn't care less about any other team. I mean, I root for Joel Embiid. I root for the Jayhawks. Any former Jayhawks, like a Jalen Wilson here, and Devontae Graham and Kelly Oubre. I root for those guys. I root for Christian Brown. I root for all those guys. But when push comes to shove, if Joel Embiid's going against the Lakers, I want the Lakers to win. I want Joel Embiid to score 50 or 60 or 70 or whatever, but I want the Lakers to win. And so that's the thing. So, Yeah, the bandwagon conversation is just hilarious because, people making these claims online, and I shouldn't let it get to me. It's not that it got to me. It's just I think it's funny. But people that make those claims online, they don't know who you are. So they have like no merit whatsoever. But I wanted to talk about it because I think it is funny. If you like teams that are successful immediately, you're automatically a bandwagon fan. Like you could have liked the Patriots your whole life. And by the way, the Patriots weren't great until Tom Brady and Belichick got there. So, you could have liked bad football up until then, and that's the thing. I mean, the Lions had never won a playoff game until this year. So now when the Lions start being good, are people going to be called bandwagon fans? I mean, good Lord. So, yeah, it's stupid. I mean, it's really fucking stupid, but it is what it is. So I wanted to say a few things in closing here. We are still working on the golf swing. For those of you who are interested in following my golf journey, 3, I think, my third or fourth lesson in getting better, hit a 229-yard drive, with my driver. And I got all new clubs. I bought another club. I think I'm psycho at this point. I'm like falling in love with this game, and I've never even played on a course yet. Can't wait for that. That'll be in March. But, yeah, like as you guys probably know, if you're still listening, then you probably like golf, but I got the Aerojet Cobras, my irons, and then I got the Cobra LTDX, the driver. I didn't get the Max, probably wish I did, but is what it is. And then I ended up going to the store this past weekend, and I tried out some 54-degree wedges. And I got to tell you, this Callaway I bought was so beautiful. Like, I mean, I spent about 160 on it. So, I mean, my bag is full of really good clubs. I feel great. My 3-wood, my 5-wood are pretty solid as well, but those are hand-me-downs. So at some point I'll probably upgrade as well as my putter. But yeah, I feel really good about, where I'm at with golf right now. I also hit the gym today for the first time in a long time. So did some extra cardio and everything, which is like awesome. Just trying to get back into shape. I'm not in it. And I think I've said it before, I'll say it again. The first step to recognizing, the first step to solving a problem is recognizing there is one. And I recognize that I'm not physically fit right now. Doesn't mean I'm fat. Like Lions fans were telling me I was fat on Twitter. I thought that was kind of funny. I've been told I'm too skinny, but I'm not fat. But I like to be back in good shape. So I thought today was productive. Got the golf lesson in there. Worked out, did, arms and, well, I did biceps, back and biceps, and I did cardio afterwards and, burned it out. So hopefully we can keep this thing going with the, of course, the gym. We'll keep the podcast going, obviously. And I also finally, and we'll wrap it up on this, I finally gave sleep masks a try. And it's by Manta Sleep. And this is not a sponsored, it is a sponsored product, but not for this particular show. I just have to say, wow, I've never been able to sleep like consistent. And I got this Manta Sleep mask that literally connects to your phone and will wirelessly play music into your ear. And you can't really hear it unless you put it on. So it's great because it's not super loud. And then you put it on and it goes right in your ear. It just feels great. It's not like earphones or anything. It's just like a band, And yeah, it's like, these sleep masks, I was seeing them like, they must be all the rage now because I'm seeing them left and right. I'm watching new rock stars. If you guys are ever watching new rock stars, Eric Voss has had sleep mask, ads before, maybe even Manta Sleep. I mean, it sounds very possible that it's been Manta Sleep before, but, they're great because the greatest thing is I have the hardest time shutting my eyes when I go to bed. I need to be knocked the hell out. That's one thing. I need to pass out or I'm not going to bed. And that's scary. But the great thing about a sleep mask is you don't even have to close your eyes. That shit, is essentially like simulating your eyes being closed. So I can keep my eyes open. I got the sleep mask over my eyes. It's great. Blocks out all the light. And I mean, there's not a ton of light, but any sort of like if a screen for whatever reason, because sometimes like I'll randomly have screens open up throughout the night and you'll get glares off the TV and everything. With a sleep mask, you're just in total darkness and it's great. It's a great feeling. So yeah, recommended. There's a bunch of them. I'll get into it more on my YouTube channel. That is a new sponsor. So there you go. Really excited for that one. But yeah, it's been a fun episode. I mean, it's kind of just me, ranting, raving, whatever. But, I hadn't recorded an episode back to back like I wanted to. Got really busy. Gonna stick with this. This is gonna turn into pretty much, I call it a daily podcast or whatever. I know this is gonna turn into the Jake Ellenbogen type of schedule. You try to make a schedule, things get fucked up. It is inevitable. You put it out as much as you can. It's how I do it on YouTube. It's why I don't have a schedule on YouTube, because I never know what to expect. As a content creator, probably should have a schedule. At the same time, the content that I put out, how much content I put out, I can't guarantee anything. So you're not going to miss any, episodes here. We're going to keep, shoving these things out. But yeah, appreciate you guys waiting on this one. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to drop a review if you haven't already, and follow me on social media at JK Bogan. I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys take care. Later, folks.